Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Andrea and I'm the Knitting PT here on YouTube and on Instagram. I'm an orthopedic physical therapist who shares maker self-care reels for any crafters out there who need some help with keeping their hands and their bodies healthy and happy so that they can continue to craft. All links you can find down below in the description box, including links to my website where I sell wrist and hand care kits, on-demand videos, massage balls. I do virtual ergonomic consults also. You can also find links to my Patreon, my Ko-Fi, my Ravelry page, and any designers or dyers or any companies I talk about today will also be linked in the description box down below. So this is my Vogue Knitting Live recap episode and also a regular project update too. So before we get into it, I think I showed this last time, but I didn't wear it. But before we get into the episode, let's talk about what I'm wearing. So this is the Garnered by Alicia Plummer. And in the pattern, you have two options. You can either do a turtleneck option with wool, or you can do a linen option with a boat neck, so that it is both winter friendly and summer friendly. I opted for the turtleneck, and the yarn I used is Woolberry Aran Weight in the colorway flannel. It's this beautiful, vibrant red with a slight like orange tinge, I think, underneath it. But yeah, I am really happy with this finished piece. I modified the pattern to have long sleeves. It originally ends kind of at the elbow. I modified it to be long sleeves. The only other modification I did was I made the turtleneck slightly shorter too, because I wasn't sure I wanted it all the way up under my chin. So I think I shortened the turtleneck by like maybe inch and a half or so. Yeah. I'll stand up so you can see the whole thing. But here it is. So it's all over lace. And the way you knit it is you knit it in pieces. So you knit the front piece, you knit the back piece, you join them together, seam the sides, and then you do the sleeves in the round. It was fairly straightforward. The seaming was no problem at all. And I really enjoy the finished product. I really do. I wore it at Vogue Knitting Live on Saturday all day, and I was a little worried at first that it would be too warm because I wore it the way I'm wearing it now with a long sleeve underneath. And I was a little worried I'd be too warm, but it turned out okay. What I did was I just hiked my sleeves up, and then I was pretty cool after that. Yeah. Um, but I really like it. For anyone who celebrates, happy early Lunar New Year. Lunar New Year is next Saturday on is it the 9th or the 10th? Next Saturday. And this color is perfect for Lunar New Year, which in Chinese culture is a lot of red. So yeah, and this is actually my zodiac year. I'm Year of the Dragon. And this year is the Year of the Dragon too. So extra special. I really love that I have a Lunar New Year colored piece to wear this year too. Yeah. So I think that's all I have to say about this. I really like it. The lace pattern is very straightforward. It's easy to remember. Yeah, I really like it. Really, really like it. And I think that's all I've got to say about this one. All right. So I think how we're going to do this episode is I'm going to do all my usual project updates first, and then at the end we'll do a recap of Vogue Knitting Live. So that way, if anyone's not interested in watching it, you can just stop watching at that point. But I do encourage you to like at least like tune in for parts of it because there are some things that I got at Vogue Knitting Live that I'm going to talk about. I'm really excited about, and I'm going to be talking about them on the channel here more because is ergonomic related. So if you're interested in that, I would encourage you to kind of tune in towards the end maybe, or just skip ahead until you find something. I mean, I'll mention them again likely on future episodes. So if you miss it, it's not a big deal. Yeah, but let's get started. All right, so finished object wise, I've got one finished object to share with you this time, and it is my test knit for Amy Scher. It is the directional pullover. Here it is. So as you can see, it is a V-neck pullover with color work on the body and on the sleeves. Yeah. So this pattern is coming out next week. So I'll wear it in my next podcast episode, but I'm going to talk about it in detail today just because I don't think I'm recording one next week. So I'll just give you all the information now, and I'll wear it in my next episode so you can see the fit. And yeah, so it's a V-neck pullover. It is knit top down, and yeah, knit top down, and I'm blanking on a lot of things today. I'm a little bit tired. It is knit top down. It is a V-neck. As you can see, there's color work panel in the middle. The way that Amy has written the pattern, you go up a needle size, we knit the color work, which I did do. I do recommend doing that unless you have super loose color work tension, because my color work tension I like to think is in the middle, like not too loose, not too tight. But I did notice when I finished my project and I blocked it that my gauge, or not my gauge, but my finished body circumference was less than what was expected. My gauge is on. My gauge is on, but I think my color work tension is still a little on the tight side. So I think what happened was that it pulled in the body a little bit and therefore pulled up the top a little bit too. Because I measured everything after. My gauge is on. My regular stockinette gauge is on. Yeah, I think it's just the color work pulled in a little bit. So I'm really glad that I did go up a needle size like I recommended, because it probably would have cinched it in even more. So all when I wear it next time, you'll see that it's not quite as boxy of a fit as intended, like compared to the pictures that Amy will have when they release the pattern. The fit is not as boxy, it just come in a little bit at my waist, which I don't mind. But yeah, I do want to knit a solid version of this. So Mia over at Knit and Grace, she knit a completely solid version. And I think next what I might do is knit a solid version, so I can get like a boxy V-neck sweatshirt vibe that I thought I would get with this one. But, again, I don't mind it. It's not a big deal to me that it comes in a little bit. I knit the size B, which I believe is a 40-inch finished circumference. I'm a 35-inch bust for reference. So about 5 inches of positive ease. The color work is also super easy to memorize also. Yeah. And the yarn I used. This main color is American U yarn on their worsted tweed base, and this is the colorway Seashell. And my CC color is from Woolberry Fiber Co., and this is the colorway Ode to Summer. Yeah. So yeah, I'm overall still very happy with it. Really love the fit. Well, you can see the V-neck isn't like super deep, so when I wear it, I think the V-neck comes to like around here. So it's still good coverage. Like I don't feel like I have to wear anything underneath. Yeah, I really like it. So highly recommend if you're looking for like a V-neck kind of pattern. It is a drop shoulder, as you can see. And it does also have, I forgot to mention, it has what are they called? Sleeve caps. So you do some short row shaping at the sleeves so that it kind of evens out the sleeve cap portion before you continue with the rest of the sleeve, which just goes with a better fit too. So you don't have like a lot of extra fabric somewhere. Yeah, all of Amy's patterns are like this, like very thoughtfully designed for different bodies. You have the option to add bust darts if you need bust darts, and in the pattern, they walk you through how to measure to figure out if you need bust darts. I don't need bust darts, so I never knit them. But I know that a lot of people who do need bust darts and who knit them for their patterns usually have very nice results where everything fits really well. So yeah, so be on the lookout for this pattern coming out next week. I will link to Amy's website so that you can go to the website when it releases next week and grab a copy of the pattern yourself if you want. All right, next for works in progress. I have been mostly working away at one pattern. I'll show it to you here. It is my other test knit. This one is for Samantha Guerin. It is the Salty Air Sweater, which is the DK weight version of her Salty Air tee. Here it is. It's kind of scrunched up looking because I've been working just on the sleeves, so the body's kind of all scrunched up on a pair of needles. You can see here that beautiful lace yoke. I've got one sleeve finished, and I am almost done with the second one. And I decided to do that just so I could get a better idea of fit, and also so that I can knit the body as long as I want to without worrying about if I have enough yarn for the sleeves. In the pattern, there's an option to do a tapered sleeve or what's the word for it? Like just like a full sleeve and then like with a rapid decrease at the cuff. I opted for the full sleeve, as you can see. yeah, and for the collar, I didn't do a full collar or anything again because I want to make sure I had enough yarn. And I did do a tubular bind off this time for both the collar and the hems. I just wanted them to look nice. I think when I'm doing a collar where you pick it up from the cast on edge and then work up, I do like the look of a tubular that way, like a tubular bind off, because it is neater looking, and it's stretchy but not too stretchy. If I do a tubular cast on, I usually find the collar is too stretchy for me if I do a tubular cast on, but tubular cast off is usually a little less stretchy for me. Yeah, so I like to do it that way. The yarn I'm using, this is Camellia Fiber Company in the Yak DK base, which is a combination of merino wool, yak, and silk. And this is the colorway. Um, what is it? Matcha. This is matcha. And you can see, I don't know if it's coming through the camera here, but it is a beautiful deep green, but with like a dark gray undertone to it, which I believe is probably from the yak. But this is like one of those colorways where as you're knitting it up, it has even more depth than it does in the skein. And I'm really enjoying it knitting it up too. So this pattern is coming out in March. So be on the lookout for it then. In the meantime, I will keep working away on it. And I'll talk more about it when the pattern is close to release. But so far, I'm really enjoying working on it, and it's up really fast. Like I think I did the yoga in one day. Yeah. All right. Next, have been. Well, I think I worked on it for like 2 days, and I put it away, and I'll pick it up again here now and then. But this is the Moonflower Pullover by Sari Nordlund, and here's what I've got. This is the back of the sweater. Look at that. It's beautiful cable. I've got a lot of weird like shadows going on today. It's very overcast outside, so I did throw on a light. I think the light is just playing with some, is casting some shadows, and I'll see if I can adjust it in editing. You can see it's a very cable design. The yarn I'm using for this is Camellia Fiber Company in the Serene Merino Aran base, which is an 8-ply Merino Aran, and it's very bouncy. I'll show it to you in the skein form. Come on. There we go. So you can see it's very round, very plump yarn. This is the colorway Midnight. Yeah. I really like it so far. It's knitting up beautifully, has beautiful stitch definition. Yeah, and I'll just be slowly working away on this. Yeah, I love the look of cabled sweaters, but it just takes a lot of effort for me to work on them. Um, Yeah, so I finished like part of the back, and I think what I've got to do next is like increases. And with cable patterns, especially, I like to like stop at certain points so that it's easy for me to remember where I was when I pick it back up. So yeah, so I'm hoping to pick this back up a little bit soon and work on it a little bit more. All right, the next project I've been working on is the next stuffed toy from the Moosh and Friends book. This is Tino the Wolf. Or the wolf dog, as I like to call him, because my son asked for a dog. This was the closest thing to a dog. And here he is. He's still very derpy looking, even though now I've got his embroidered snout there. He's very cute. When he's stuffed, I think he'll look even cuter. But I've got his arms done. Now I just got to do the body next. So if you don't know about this book, it's a bunch of stuffed knitted toy animals, and they have clothes and they have backstories, and they're all knit in one piece. So there's not really any seaming involved. Um, and the book is wonderful. It's very in-depth. It gives you lots of tutorials, lots of techniques, and really explains every step of the way. So it's been I think it's very accessible in terms of that, of knitting these. I was very intimidated when I first started, but I knit the sheep first for my daughter, and that was a really fun experience. I really enjoyed it. So I do want to knit through the whole book and make all the characters. So yeah, so this is Tino the Wolf dog for my son. Yeah, and I'm just kind of steadily working away on him. His arms are quite long. But yeah. The yarn I'm using for this is Knitting for Olive Merino, their fingering weight. And I think this colorway is ochre brown or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, isn't he so cute? I really like his snout. It's just very cute. Yeah. All right, the next object I've been working on is my hand spun hat. So I am knitting the Manhattan hat by Tori Yu. I'm knitting up in my own hand spun yarn. So this is the first project I'm using with my own hand spun. And here's what I've got so far. You can see I'm just steadily doing the ribbing, and then I don't know how long I've got. I haven't really measured it and I haven't really looked at the pattern. I just been going and going. But probably after several more inches, I'll start the crown decreases. I do want it to be long enough to have a fold in the brim. This is for my son. Again, he requested a hat. When he saw me spinning up this hand spun, he requested it specifically for his hat. This hand spun is 100% Rambouillet. Rambouillet? Where's it Cormo? It's Rambouillet. It's Rambouillet from Wool Fiend, and the colorway is called Hobbiton. And I'll show you my caked up hand spun and how it looks. Yeah. So it's knitting up really fun right now. As you can see, there's kind of some like chunks of color, which is really fun. Yeah, and I'm really enjoying it. That is that in terms of whips that I've been working on steadily. I have some other whips, but haven't really touched them. So we'll get into them when we get into them. So next, I want to talk about a future project I'm going to cast on, but that leads me to what I found at Vogue Knitting Live. So I think we'll do that. We're going to go into a kind of like a recap of my weekend at Vogue Knitting Live, and along the way, I'll kind of show you some of the things that I purchased. Yeah. All right. So Vogue Knitting Live. This year I attended as a teacher. I attended as a teacher last year too, but last year I just did a lecture. This year I taught 2 classes in addition to a lecture. So I went into the city on Friday and I taught a class from 9 to 12, the knitter anatomy class. Yeah, I can't remember the order sometimes of how these things were done. I believe 9 to 12 was knitter anatomy, and then 2 to 5 was the upper and lower body posture and hand ergonomics class. Um, it was really fun. I had like 8 to 9 students in each class. A lot of the students were the same in both classes, which I think just made it very continuous feeling. And like some of the material I had for both classes was similar or the same, but I think that especially when we're talking about ergonomics and anatomy, because it is such a foreign concept and just a subject and a language that most people don't speak when if they're not in the field of posture and ergonomics and kind of physical health, it does take some time for everything to sink in. So it was nice to have like that second session to kind of just like reiterate some of the concepts. But it was a really fun group. Like everyone was very attentive, had a lot of great questions. I really, really enjoyed it. It was my first time teaching like a long class. Like I've usually done just an hour, especially in person, maybe an hour and a half. But this time was 3 hour classes. So there was really a lot of time to get to know each other, for people to really start to feel comfortable and asking their questions. And I just had so much fun. Like I really did. Like, don't get me wrong, it was tiring. Like my legs were dead by the end of the day from standing all day. But I had so much fun teaching. I was really excited. It got me really excited about sharing my knowledge with everyone. Um, I think my favorite highlight of the day was watching everyone have the same epiphany about squats. And that was really fun because it wasn't really what I expected to be the epiphanal moment of the classes, but it was, and everyone got really excited about it, and it was a ton of fun. Like it really was. I hope to be able to teach my classes again next year. Yeah, so if you are watching this and you came to my classes, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being present and engaging with the material. And I just had a ton of fun, and it was so rewarding. So I really enjoyed it. So that was Friday. I had been planning on going to the Go Sadi reception at night, but I was just so tired. My legs were so dead that like I was like, I can't stand anymore. Like I can't stand, I can't walk. So I just went back to my hotel room and chilled for the rest of the night, basically, and rested. Saturday was And I did go to Marketplace on Friday night too. I forgot to mention that. I did go to Marketplace on Friday night, which is where I purchased most of the stuff I purchased for the entire weekend. So let me show you that. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, what I got some fiber. So Lobby Anime released their confetti fiber, and they had some colorways that they brought with them to Vogue Knitting Live that weren't available online yet. This one is now available online, by the way. But I got 2 braids of this, and this is Nightfall on confetti fiber. So let me pull it up there where you can see it. There you go. Look how pretty it is. It's really soft too. So the makeup of this is, it is 50% 18.5 micron merino, which is super, super soft. 30% Shetland, 20% recycled LBA threads. So like the colors in there are all recycled threads from Lobby and May yarn. Yeah, it's so soft. It's so pretty. And I got 2 braids of it because 1 braid is about 110 grams. So I figured if I got 2 braids and spun up, it should be enough for like an accessory of some sort. I don't think it'll be enough for a garment, but an accessory, and I don't want to buy a ton either. So yeah, so I just got 2 braids. I mean, in the end, if I really want more, I could buy more online if I want to. But yeah, it is so soft. It's so pretty. Yeah. And when I purchased the fiber, I got to speak to Amy of Lobby Anime. I actually ran into her every single day for the entire weekend. So I got to speak to her several times. It was really nice. Amy, if you've never met her, is super warm in person. She's so warm. She's so inviting. She's so inclusive. And when you speak to her, she just makes you feel like you're super important, no matter who you are. I really love that about her. I really admire that about her. Yeah. Next, I went to see my friend Sylvia at Camellia Fiber Yarn Company, and I got fiber from her too. This is Jokabo Roving. So it is 50% BFL, 10% wool, 40% scrap yarns, and one of these is about 55 grams. So let me open one to show you. Crinkle, crinkle. This is what it looks like. Yeah, also really fun. You see it's roving. Yeah. So I got 2 of these so that I'd have enough to have like make like a 100-gram skein of yarn for like, you know, a contrast color or something. And then in terms of yarn, I only bought 1 sweater color yarn, and I got it from the Wandering Flock from Geraldine. So I got Celadon, which is this really pretty light sagey green. And I got 1 skein of Petal, which is a light pink, to pair with it. I'm thinking I'm probably going to knit like another koi, I'm going to knit a koi pullover for myself in these yarns, probably. That's what I'm thinking, because I got 3 skeins of this and 1 of these. So like usually I need 4 skeins of DK for a colorwork sweater even. So having 3 skeins, I think probably just the vest would be good. I think. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, that's what I got. So then Saturday in the morning, I went down to Marketplace. I met up with some friends. Like I saw Tori from Tori Knits NYC. Who else did I see? I had lunch with Sophia, who is one of my friends. And then in the afternoon, I did my lecture on knitter anatomy, like a short 1-hour lecture. That lecture was also super fun. Everyone was also really engaged, had tons of questions. Yeah, so if you came to my lecture, thank you so much for being there. It was like a very like engaged crowd, if that makes sense. I just felt like this year's experience at Vogue Knitting Live was amazing. Like everyone there was super engaged, like really wanted to be there. It was really fun. Yeah. So I did that. After that, I did a meet and greet at the Unit 2 booth with Claudia. And there I met Olga of Gotham Knits. Olga is hilarious. Her and I connected like right away, because I know I don't show it much on here, but I'm actually a very kind of sarcastic person. I have a little bit of a dark humor, and Olga's like just like that. Except she's like much more forthcoming with it. So her and I like connected instantly, and we had a ton of fun talking to each other and that kind of thing. So Olga is amazing. She's hilarious. And I feel like Saturday was just a lot of like running into people, meeting people. Like I saw Tanny Casey, who makes the bags, and Yan from Forever Yarn in Doylestown. I got to hang out with Samantha Guerin for a while, which was really nice. Like Sam and I, I test a lot of her patterns. We talk online a lot, but we'd never really hung out in person much before. So it was really amazing to get some one-on-one time with her. Had a lot of fun. I got to finally meet Britt from Not Bad Brit. Who else? I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of people that I met and ran into. But I got to meet people like some people from Thread and Maple. I got to meet Katie from Katrinkle's Knitting. Jewelry, is that what her thing is called? Katrinkle's, you know her. She makes all the knitting notions and all the wood engraved things. Yeah, but what I also got, so then that night I went to dinner with Sylvia and Geraldine and Sam, and we had a really great time. But then the next day, I left on Sunday to go home in the morning. But before I left, I made it a point to go by a certain booth that I had meant to go by on Saturday, but then got distracted, didn't go. So on Sunday morning before I left, I beeline down there right when the marketplace opened to go and see Prim Ergonomic Needles. So I walked past them on Saturday and I thought I need to make a mental note to go back. So if you don't know about them, which I don't think I really knew about them, I knew there was someone out there who makes ergonomic needles. I'm not sure if this is the company actually that I knew about, but in any case, I bought some things to try out. Now, I want to say all the things I'm showing you today are all things I bought with my own money, including this. Okay, so none of this is sponsored, like nothing sponsored paid for with all my own money. And actually, that's usually the case with everything I show you on this podcast. I will say if someone gave it to me as a gift or it's sponsored, but you guys, like, nobody wants to sponsor me, okay? Like, I'm not that big a deal. And I think I see sometimes online people wonder if a lot of podcasters show everything and everything is sponsored or a gift. I'd say unless like you're a super big podcaster, most of the time, like we pay for everything ourselves. We just love talking about all this stuff. Yeah. Okay, so I got a set of circular knitting needles, and I got these size 7s in this box. So I'm gonna open it and show you. I already opened it, but I stuck it back in just for the look. So these are they have these hook tips. If you can see here, the tips are like hooks to make it easier to pick up yarn. You can see it's a triangular needle, okay? So that's easier to hold. So you can rest your fingers on it. The triangular shape is similar to how when kids learn to write, they use like the big triangular pencils because that helps you hold it easier. It's easier to hold and grip instead of like a circular one. So that's the idea behind these triangular ones, which is what the team at Prim told me at the booth, okay? And there's a steel cord, which is super smooth. It doesn't really tangle or kink at all. Yeah. And the join on it is pretty smooth too, I'd say. Yeah. And you can see these have a little slight bend to them too. They had some carbon fiber needles. These are not carbon fiber, I believe. I think these are just, what are they made out of? It just says high performance synthetic material. So probably like some kind of plastic or something. But they have like they're double pointed. They have carbon fiber ones where like it is like a little bendy just to like, it feels really nice actually when you use it. So I got these to try. And I actually ordered more online when I came home because they didn't have all the sizes I was looking for by the time I went there. So I ordered some in like a US 10, a US 8. I got like US 2 and 4, I think also, just to like have more options. Because what I plan to do is I'm going to knit an entire project using their needles. Just to see how it feels. The project I have in mind is I'm going to cast on my Miles shirt jacket on these needles when they get in. I think the additional needles I ordered will be getting here on Monday next week. And this will be part of the Make It Again, Make Along that Stephanie over at Edible Thoughts Makes is hosting. But I figured this was a really good one to do because you don't want to necessarily switch needles halfway through a project because it could change your gauge a little bit. Your gauge could change depending on what kind of needle you use. And I've knit the Miles shirt jacket before. So I figured this was a good project to knit again and knit on these ergonomic needles and just see how it feels, right? And knit the entire project out of them and see how it feels. I'm also someone where usually if I'm using like US 9 to 10 and above, it does fatigue my hands a little bit more. My sweet spot is between US 4 to 8, I'd say, is my sweet spot where I can knit forever and feel fine. But usually once you get to US 9 or above, my hands do feel like they need a break from holding larger needles. So this is a great project to kind of test this out on. I'm really excited and I will let you all know as we go along like how it's going too. So And I am working with them on a collaboration of sorts, maybe a discount code for y'all if you want to try it all. So like, stay tuned. That is hopefully forthcoming. I also picked up some other things. I picked up a set of crochet hooks because, you know, I plan to knit, well, I plan to crochet a blanket this year. So I got a set of these crochet hooks that are ergonomic, super smooth, an optimized hook. Yeah. So we will see how that goes. Because usually with crochet, my main issue is my hands get really tired with crochet, probably because I'm very tense when I'm doing crochet because I'm not used to it. Um, but I'm really excited. I'm going to give these a go with my crochet blanket and see how it feels. And the last thing I got were these yoga cable needles. So they are cable needles, but as you can see, they bend. And I'm going to use these with my Moonflower, which is the cabled pullover I'm working on. My main thing when it comes to knitting cables is I like to use cable needles unless it's like a one by one thing. I just think for me, it looks neater if I actually use a cable needle to move it instead of like doing the whole knitting without a cable needle. Especially like with the Moonflower, there are cables that span like 4 to 5 stitches. So when it's that point, I like to use an actual cable needle. But usually with cable needles, I always feel like they're about to fall off the cable needle, and that kind of thing. So I saw these at the booth, so I decided I'm going to give them a try. As you can shape them, so you can slip them on and then just like bend them to keep them hooked on or whatnot. Yeah. So I'm really excited to use these two, and they come in two different sizes. Like one is a little bit thicker than the other. Um, yeah. So yeah, really excited. Or like one is a little longer than the other two. Yeah. So I'm really excited to give these a go and see how they feel. And actually, here's the box so I can show you. Yoga cable stitch needles. There. Yeah. So that is everything that I got. I think it's probably the smallest haul I've ever gotten from a yarn festival. But for me, like Vogue Knitting is also more about the connections and about the teaching than it is about the yarn completely. And I had a really great experience this year, and I really loved it. Really loved teaching and connecting with everyone and seeing people and making new friends. It was a ton of fun. And I think this year I did a better job of managing myself. I know last year I came home and I was like completely drained. And I think this year I did a better job of managing when I needed my alone time to recharge and make sure that I was okay and my mental and physical state was okay before I went out and saw people. So I think I did a really good job balancing that this year. So really proud of myself for that. Yeah. So that is it for this week's episode. I hope to be back in 2 weeks. Hopefully, I will have cast on that project with the ergonomic needle so I can give you an update on how it's feeling. I had completely forgotten too that this year I was going to try to do like a update each episode on how many skeins have been used up. So one of my goals for 2024 is to use 100 skeins of yarn. And if you didn't see that video with my 2024 goals, what I mean by use up 100 skeins of yarn is like wind them up, use them. It doesn't mean they're completely gone, like I can have a half skein left or whatnot, but it just means they've moved out of my stash and they've either become leftovers or they're knit up. So right now the count is at 10. 10 skeins used for this one, for this sweater, and for this sweater. So I used 5 skeins for my garnered and 5 skeins for my directional pullover. So yeah, we are 10% through to the goal. All right. Let me know what you think in comments down below. If you have used the Prem ergonomic needles before, let me know what you think. I'm really excited to give them a go. I was really excited to meet the people there and to talk to them a little bit. Yeah, really excited to try them out. And otherwise, I'm looking now to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah. Otherwise, happy February, happy Lunar New Year if you are celebrating, and I will see you all next time. Happy knitting!